big arms speak 1,000 words before you even open your mouth. You know what I'm saying? It's like that Drake song where he's like, they know. Because they know. They already know what you're about as soon as you walk into a room and you got those literally walking in, guns blazing. They know that you're on body game. Everybody knows. Everybody's going to break their neck to look at you, right? And don't get me wrong. I've talked about this in previous videos where I said the V-taper is important, and that is important, but the V-taper is important when you're wearing baggier clothing, because when you have broader shoulders and a narrow waist, it brings out your silhouette when you're wearing, like, when you're covered up more, like wintertime. Then people can actually tell you're jacked. But when it's summertime and you're wearing tank tops, you're wearing white beaters, or you're just wearing basic t-shirts, that's when the arms come into play. That's when arms really come to show. Because you can have a V-taper, right? But if you don't have the arms to back it up, it's like a stool with weak legs. You sit on it, it's gonna shatter, right? So developing big arms is actually really important if you want to have an aesthetic physique, right? And when I'm talking about big arms and getting jacked, I'm not saying you gotta have arms like Sam Sulek or Chris Bumstead or like Ronnie Coleman. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying when you get to a decent amount of muscle size to you, around 12 to 18% body fat, that's a pretty good range. Like a good example of this is like if you look at like the Creed movies, or maybe you look at Chris Evans when he played Johnny Storm in Fantastic Four. That's a pretty good inspiration for the kind of physique I'm talking about, right? Even like a Vin Diesel in like early Fast and Furious movies, not later, but earlier, right? When you have that decent arm development to where it looks like you lift, to where it looks like you can actually hold your own in a fight if it ever got to that point. When you get to that point, that's when people notice you. That's when you build a more dominant kind of aura to you, right? That's when you can truly aura farm, right? And if you need help building big arms and you want to go into 2026 guns blazing, you want to build that undeniable physique, hit that link in the description, book a call, we'll have a conversation, and we'll see if it makes sense to work together. We'll come up with a custom meal plan and workout plan. And if that sounds like you, tap that link in the description, book a call, and like this video and subscribe if you haven't done that already. That's crazy work if you haven't done those two things. But like I was saying, big arms, they're really key to focus on. And there's the thing where people, and I made a video on this before where I talked about, how to maximize your arms. I made a couple videos. I'll link them up here. I'll link them up here in the video so you can see. The key to having big arms and having that aesthetic look to them is you need to focus on both your biceps and your triceps. You need to focus on all heads of each of these parts, right? I'm gonna start off with talking about the biceps. For the biceps, you want to focus on all the heads of the biceps. So you want to focus on your brachialis. You also want to focus on your short head. You also want to focus on the long head of the biceps, right? Where most guys go wrong is when they first start on the fitness journey, and I talked about this in the previous video, they only want to focus on the brachialis, and that's like gonna give you that 3D look, which is good. Don't get me wrong, do focus on your brachialis, but that's all most guys will focus on. A lot of guys, and I've fell victim to this too, was I only focused on the brachialis and then I ignored the short head of my biceps. And then my biceps from the front angle looked kind of smaller. I wasn't really happy with how they looked. It was only until recently, about a couple months ago, a little bit before my injury, was when I started focusing on the short head of the bicep, and I was doing certain workouts. So for example, the preacher curl, or the one-arm preacher curl with the dumbbell, that's going to focus on that short head of the bicep. Like doing workouts like that is going to make your biceps look wider from this front angle. But then if you want to make your biceps look longer from like this, from the side angle, the angle you're seeing now, you want to focus on, your long head exercises, right? And also your brachialis. The brachialis and the long head exercises is really going to maximize how it looks like from the side and give that 3D look. When you focus on all three of these parts of the bicep, that's going to maximize your bicep growth. And I think it's very key that you focus on all of these heads and you don't neglect any of them. And here's another thing. The biggest mistake too is guys will only focus on biceps, when in true reality, your triceps actually take up 2/3 of your arm. Sorry, not 3/3, 2/3 of your arm, right? And when guys neglect their triceps, it's like you're running on this wheel. You're like a rat running on a wheel, chasing this cheese, and you just never get there because you're focusing on the wrong things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't focus on biceps at all. I'm saying focus on biceps and triceps. Maybe triceps a little bit more because your arms are made up mostly of your triceps, right? So this can include anything like, you know, some, like a tricep pull down, rope pull down, doing like skull crushers, tricep kickbacks, anything like that will work your triceps and make them look pretty huge. You know what I mean? Like working on your triceps, I can't stress enough, is key, because your arm is literally taken up by 2/3 for your triceps. So you might as well focus on that tricep work so you can maximize the size of your arms, right? When you do all those things in combination, you will have big, juicy arms that don't lie. Just like those hips don't lie, them arms don't lie. No diddy, pause, gotta just make sure, gotta put it out there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like to close off, I just want to say that big arms are important. I think as time goes on, people are sleeping on how important arms are in your physique, right? Because don't get me wrong, the V-taper is important. Yes, it's the foundation of the cake, but the arms are really going to be the deciding factor where it's like, okay, this guy's actually jacked, right? Like when your arms team up with the V-taper, it's bulletproof. It's unstoppable. You become undeniable. You literally, at that point, you have a physique that never bores the audience and commands attention. Make sure you book that one-on-one consultation if you need help building big arms or just getting on body game in general and you're not really sure how and you need some guidance. Hit that link in the description, book that call. We'll have a little conversation and we'll see if it makes sense to work together. Even if it does make sense to work together, we'll work on your mindset. We'll work on your meal plan. We'll work on your training plan so that you can actually build a physique that turns heads and never bores the audience. And if that sounds like you, hit that link in the description and I'll be happy to be working with you soon. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. And remember, like I'm always saying, there's nothing enlightening about playing small. I'm gonna catch y'all. See ya.